Minecraft Snapshot 23w07a has arrived with the first iteration of 3 new experimental features in the Update 120 experimental pack: Archaeology, the Sniffer, and Cherry Groves. My name is SliceSlime, and I'm here as always to show you everything about these changes. Let's start with Archaeology. The brush is a new tool crafted from 3 string and 2 sticks. It's a string pickaxe, if you will. It is used by using the Interact or Use button, by default right-click rather than punching with it. The brush is used on a new block called Suspicious Sand. You can find that in desert temples and desert wells. It looks suspiciously much like sand, but with some suspicious darker splotches on it. Suspicious. When you use a brush on a suspicious sand, it will go through 4 different stages of becoming darker and more broken looking while an item slowly appears out of the surface you brush. After the process is done, the block turns to regular sand and the item pops out. If you instead mine a suspicious sand, it vanishes into nothing. It also does fall like regular sand, but when it lands, it will also vanish. So what do you get when you brush it? That depends on the structure you found the block in. In wells, you can find a new item called an Arms Up pottery shard, a brick, an emerald, a stick, or a suspicious stew of the same types as you can find in shipwrecks. You're 3 times as likely to get a pottery shard as any of the other items. In desert pyramids, you can find an archer, prize, or skull pottery shard, gunpowder, a TNT block, a diamond, or an emerald, with all items equally likely. Brushing any other block than suspicious sand does nothing. There's also a new item called a decorated pot, which is crafted from 4 bricks. You can also switch any of the bricks out for a pottery shard, which replaces that side with a decorated piece depending on the shard you used. Sides made from bricks will be blank. Breaking a decorated pot with a Silk Touch tool gives you the pot, and so does breaking it with your fist or an item which is not a tool. Breaking it with any tool smashes it, giving you back the shards used to craft it. Speaking of ancient things, a first version of the Sniffer mob that won the latest mob vote makes its first appearance in this snapshot. The Sniffer is a passive mob with 14 health that is 7 hearts. He's a large boy, covering just shy of 2x2 full blocks. Currently, Sniffers do not spawn in the game and are only available through a red and green spawn egg in the creative inventory. Sniffers cannot be tempted or tamed, and they drop nothing when killed. They lumber around, sniffing in the air, and sometimes they will also dig for seeds. This makes a new item pop out called a torchflower seed. This seed can then be used to breed sniffers, and baby sniffers also eat them, making them grow up slightly faster. You can also plant the torchflower seeds in farmland like other seeds. This plants a torchflower crop, which grows through an intermediate stage before becoming a fully grown torchflower. Harvesting the crop in the first 2 stages gives you back the seeds. Harvesting the fully grown flower gives you the flower itself. It can then be planted in dirt-like blocks like other flowers, placed in flower pots, or crafted into orange dye. Its name is a lie, by the way. The torchflower does not light up its environment. Speaking of flowery things, let's look at the last big feature of the snapshot, the Cherry Grove biome. This is a new mountain biome that can be found in similar locations as the meadows. It's covered in cherry trees with bright pink leaves and a new type of logs, cherry logs. These tree trunks fork or bend high up and are then covered in large round canopies of cherry leaves. They also sometimes spawn with bees' nests. Cherry logs come with a new wood set including logs and stripped logs, planks, stairs, slabs, fences and fence gates, doors and trapdoors, buttons, pressure plates, signs and hanging signs, and boats and chest boats. Cherry leaves have pink particles falling underneath, and on the ground on the Cherry Grove you can find a new type of vegetation, pink petals. This new decoration block is uncraftable and unrenewable, can only be found here. Each block can contain up to 4 petals. When broken, you get back as many petals as there are in the block. These can be placed in any orientation on top of a block, and placing more than one into the same block increases the amount of petals in it. You can also craft the petals into pink dye. Cherry saplings are planted and grown like most other saplings and can be placed in flower pots. Now that is all pretty cool, and if you've liked this showcase this far, please place a lovely pink petal on the like button for the video. It really helps out, so thank you. There's more still for the Update 120 pack. A bug fix for camels meaning baby camels will no longer enter boats. In gameplay news outside of the experimentals, some jukebox updates. While playing a disc, they now emit a redstone signal at level 15, which ends when the disc has finished playing. They now also work with hoppers and droppers, so you can automate playing discs and taking them back out. And blast protection now reduces knockback even in creative mode. Some recipe unlock updates. The recipe for the crafting table now unlocks immediately when joining a world the first time, and getting sticks no longer unlocks the recipes for crossbows and soul campfires. Opening a lectern in adventure mode no longer causes desync issues, and you can no longer have a falling block appear in some death messages. In mob news, a new fix for allays mean they are now much quicker at following a player, and a slight glitch with allay wing animations has been fixed. Some animation problems for drowned who turned around has been fixed, and they no longer swim far outside their hitboxes. Horse breeding has been tweaked, so babies are more likely to be better or worse rather than average. This makes it a more viable gameplay strategy to selectively breed horses to get a really good horse, given enough time and a large enough supply of golden carrots. Sitting cats that get pushed into water no longer drown, and the turtles can no longer spawn inside each other and get stuck. And creepers now have their iconic blinking back before they explode. Some visual fixes. Capes and elytra no longer jitter when moving and rotating. And sea fighting has been fixed on the bottom of boots and on text displays. Some user interface fixes too. Servers would show up as old in the server list while starting, that is now fixed. The welcome screen now reappears if you close the game with it open. The title screen warning window now properly vanishes when you respawn. Opening the recipe book no longer automatically selects the recipe under the cursor, and experimental items are no longer suggested as fuel in furnaces when they are disabled. In sound news, the Sniffer has sounds for its idle grunts. Step sounds. Scenting. Sniffing. Searching. Digging. Dropping a seed. Ending a dig. Being happy. Eating. Hurting. And dying. Suspicious sand has sounds for placing and breaking it. And walking on it. The brush has sounds for brushing. And when finishing the brush of a suspicious sand. The decorated pots have placing sounds. Walking sounds. And a shattering sound. Cherry leaves and pink petals have placing and breaking sounds. And sounds for walking on them. Cherry wood has placing and breaking sounds. And walking on it. Here's a cherry button press. Opening and closing cherry doors. Fence gates. Trapdoors. And placing and breaking cherry hanging signs. And walking on them. Let's also talk about some technical news. The suspicious sand is a new block entity which can hold a loot table ID and seed, or alternatively an item. The decorated pot is also a block entity with a shards array holding the 4 items used to make it. Setting a jukebox contents now updates properly even if a disc was already playing. There's a new entity type in this snapshot called Interaction. It is an invisible entity of a custom size that records attacks and interactions. The fields of the interaction entity are a width and height setting as well as a response boolean that toggles whether arm swings and interaction sounds play. There are 2 more fields, attack and interaction, which get filled with data about the player interacting with the entity. When set, they have 2 fields, a player field with the UUID of the player and a timestamp. In addition to this data, you can also use advancement triggers to react to interactions, which has the benefit that if more than one interaction happens in the same frame, both are captured. Interacting with an interaction entity triggers player interacted with entity, and attacking an interaction entity triggers player hurt entity. Interactions also work with execute on, where execute on attacker executes on the player who last attacked the entity, and execute on target executes on the player who last interacted with it. An advancement trigger has been fixed. Player interacted with entity now triggers when interacting with a glass bottle on an area effect cloud. In command news, the forest rock feature now works properly with the place command, and a number of issues relating to the ride command in combination with the display entities have been fixed. New particles in this version: dripping cherry leaves, falling cherry leaves, and landing cherry leaves. In resource pack news, an old bug has been fixed where the ambient occlusion flag didn't work in model files with a parent file set. The vanilla pack language file for US English is now also sorted. A number of new item tags have been added to the game in this version, and new item and block tags have been added to the Update 120 pack. Check them all out on screen. In recipe news, there is a new recipe type for crafting decorated pot, which has no options. Finally, some stability issues have been fixed, including crashes, memory leaks, and a problem with the player being kicked from servers when dying while riding a horse or camel. And that's all the goodies in Snapshot 23w07a. My name is Sliced Lime, thank you for watching, until next time, happy sniffing!